doing debates, getting involved in arguments, and endlessly fighting. These days, many spiritual aspirants often get involved in all these things due to one or the other reason. They think that this is something they must do and it will bring them closer to the truth, or believe that it will benefit them and others around them, and hence even justify this habit. But unfortunately, all those who are getting entangled in this habit of debating, arguing, fighting, proving others wrong, etc., are largely unaware of the damage that gets caused to them on the bodily, mental, pranic, and spiritual level due to it. In today's video, we will go through the words of Jagadguru Shankaracharya, Swami Sivananda Saraswati, Sriramakrishna Paramahansa, and Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi, and see what they have to say about doing all these debates and arguments. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. Let's start with the words of Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya. Loud speech, consisting of a shower of words, the skill in expounding the scriptures, and likewise erudition. All these merely bring on a little personal enjoyment to the scholar, but are no good for liberation. The labyrinth of words are a dense forest, which merely causes the mind to wander in confusion. Hence, the men of wisdom should earnestly set about knowing the true nature of the self. As a treasure hidden underground requires competent instruction, excavation, the removal of stones and other such things lying above it, and grasping, but never comes out by being called out by name. So too, the pure truth of the self, which is hidden by Maya and its effects, is to be attained through the instructions of a knower of Brahman, followed by reflection, meditation, and so forth, but not through perverted arguments. Now, let's go through the words of Swami Sivananda Saraswati. Some people in whom the reason has somewhat developed have got the habit of entering into unnecessary controversies and discussions. They cannot remain quiet even for a second. They will create opportunities for heated debates. Too much discussions result in enmity and hostility. Much energy is wasted in useless discussions. Intellect is a help if it is used in the right direction of Atma Vichara. Intellect is a hindrance if it is used in unnecessary discussions. Reasoning concerns matter of the physical place. Wherever there is why and wherefore, there is reasoning. In transcendental matters which are beyond the reach of reason, reason is of no use. Intellect helps in reflecting and ratiocination, but people in whom reasoning becomes perverted can become skeptical. They lose faith in Vedas and in the teachings of Mahatmas. These so-called rationalists are a type of atheists only. It is very difficult to convince and show them the truth. They have an impure, perverted reason. Thoughts of God cannot enter their brains. Reason is a finite instrument. It cannot explain many mysterious problems of life. Those who are free from the so-called perverted rationalism and skepticism can march in the path of God realization. Give up arguing, become silent, look within. All doubts will be cleared. You will get a flash of divine knowledge. The pages of the internal book of divine knowledge will be clearly revealed to you. Aspirants should not indulge in sundry talks and miscellaneous thoughts just to ease the mind. They should be serious. They should think and talk of God alone. Now let's explore the words of Sriramakrishna Paramahansa. To drink pure water from a shallow pond, one should gently take the water from the surface without disturbing it in the least. If it is disturbed, the sediments rise up and make the whole water muddy. If you desire to be pure, have firm faith and slowly go on with your devotional practices without wasting your energies in useless scriptural discussions and arguments. Your little brain will otherwise be muddled. Common men talk bagfuls of religion but do not practice even a grain of it. The wise man speaks a little, even though his whole life is religion expressed in action. If a man but once tastes the joy of God, his desire to argue takes wing. The bee, realizing the joy of sipping honey, doesn't buzz about anymore. What will you achieve by quoting from books? So long as a person is far away from God, he cannot be but in the midst of the confusion of sophistry, vain argument, and discussion. But once he approaches God, all arguments and discussions cease. Now we will be going through the words of Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi. Instead of inquiring and knowing through practical experience the truly existing thing, and thereby attaining the clear state of supreme silence, some jump with egoism, having fanaticism for a particular religion and hatred towards other religions, and make vain and noisy arguments and criticisms. The very nature of argument is to veil the truth. Since it is nothing but an art of illusion and imagination, it will delude and confuse the mind. Therefore, no one who has fallen into the dark hole of arguments will see the sunlight, self-knowledge. Words do not reveal the self. On the contrary, they veil it completely. Therefore, be alert in controlling both speech and thought so that self, which is hidden by them, will shine of its own accord. Do not lend your intellect as a slave to the gymnastics of eloquence and to the jugglery of arguments. Know the truth, self, by turning the pure sattvic mind within and thereby destroying the illusion of otherness. The bliss of the Supreme Self cannot be obtained by intellectual arguments, but only by the knowledge which shines in the heart as the form of the Divine Lord, who lends light to the mind. Those interested in arguments, who have not experienced the happiness of consciousness, who value only the pleasures derived from sense objects, and who are confused, will finally perish longing for them, even at the time of the death. It is best to give up the various arguments about duality, qualified non-duality, and pure non-duality, and instead think of and worship God with ripening love in order to attain the wealth of divine grace and know the reality. Instead of arguing by the sharpness of the intellect which rises and subsides, it exists, it does not exist, it has form, it is formless, it is one, it is two. The silence of Satchitananda, which is ever unfailing experience, alone is the real religion. Now before we end the video, I would just like to emphasize that this video does not intend to say that one should simply be quiet and tolerate adharma, wrongdoings, or not discuss, think, and reason for spiritual growth at all. One can and should do all that. But even then, you should be doing it selflessly, without attachments to karmaphala, and with complete calmness and equanimity of mind. This is what Shri Krishna tells to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita as well. But the ground reality is that the majority of these arguments and debates happen not with the genuine intention of knowing the truth or upholding dharma or growing spiritually, but out of selfish and egotistic reasons. People mainly want to show and flaunt their intellectual prowess and knowledge, or try to convince others about something or prove them wrong, or show superiority of their path, sect, or philosophy over another one, and so on. They even become angry, agitated, hateful, and restless while doing this. It creates negative samskaras and strengthens Shastra Vasana, and also boosts pride, jealousy, and other negative elements within oneself. This further does a great deal of harm on the level of body, mind, prana, and whatever possibility of spiritual progress you had, that gets lost too. Therefore, all this must be avoided, especially if you genuinely are seeking moksha or if you care to realize the truth. In the end, I will conclude with one of the quotes of my beloved Guru, Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Correcting oneself is correcting the whole world. The sun is simply bright. It does not correct anyone. Because it shines, The whole world is full of light. Transforming yourself is the means of giving light to the whole world. Many thanks for watching the video. If you are a beginner in the path of spirituality and meditation, we recommend you watch this video. If you like our videos, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and feel free to share your inputs in the comment section. It will also help us grow and spread this timeless wisdom of Sanatana Dharma to others.